You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is James Morris. Welcome to round two, or segment two of our Monday morning show. I got Scott Hobbs. He's calling all the way. Scott, are you calling from work or on your way to work or at home? Where are you at this morning?
Well, I'm on my way to work.
Okay, you're like me. You get up early and get there early. Early bird gets the worm, or the worm gets eaten by the early bird, or however that goes.
That's
out
right.
there. So anyway, your boy brought one of your employees brought in the truck. Vortec engine, complaining about when he cranks the car up, the car ticks. He has to rev the engine to get the ticking to go away, and his oil pressure goes down too all the time. He says, I'm worried about it. And I said, no, I see this all the time. Let's go put some more oil in it. He said, well, it's got plenty of oil in it. I said, no, let's go overfill it. So we put a couple quarts of oil in it, more than it should have in it, and all of a sudden the ticking went away. And he goes, what do you think's wrong with it? I said, I know what's wrong with it. The O-ring is hardened. This same O-ring is what, it has to be flexible to allow it to create vacuum to pull the oil up from the oil pan, and it's gotten hard and it's lost its shape and it's sucking air. The same thing can be said true when you on bathroom flapper valves. They do not last forever either, and they will start to leak. Not that they draw air, but they let that trickling sound of water, and as you hear the water going down the drain, you also see money leaving your wallet, because that gets rather expensive if you don't change those flapper valves. I'm sure that's rather true. It's a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a lot cheaper to change.
And first of all, thank you for finding that solution. That was a relatively inexpensive solution versus replacing an entire engine, which I'm thankful for that.
Yes, I know you've got one engine out there. I'm just shaking my head going, man, they need to fix that engine because they're going to get oil everywhere. I mean, water and everything on another engine you got. But I am glad we were able to fix that one relatively easy. And found out changing wheel bearings on these trailers, it's just as easy, if not easier, to change the whole hub assembly with bearings and everything, because these trailers you drive, y'all boys tear up the roads on those suckers. I mean, you're always pulling these heavy things, and you're only as safe and as good as the tires and wheels that you're driving.
Well, don't tell the county they're tearing up the roads.
No, they're not tearing the roads. I mean, it's an expression as far as they're on the roads constantly. Y'all, every time I go to work, I see at least 2, sometimes 3 Hobbs trucks going in 3 or 4 different directions all over Bay County. You're everywhere. You're everywhere. You really are.
We are. In talking about that, I know we're supposed to be talking about plumbing, but, I think back a few years ago, one of my daughter's friends, or, girl that they went to school with,
right.
She was walking over the halfway bridge, and a tire came off of a construction trailer, similar to ours, and hit her in the head. Fortunately, she was okay, and she made it through it. But I said to myself, we're going to just religiously change these bearings every few months, because I wouldn't want that, on us, to hurt somebody.
It is. It's something that's relatively inexpensive to do. They sell them as packaged units. You can call them and say, hey, I need a 10-inch electric brake drum, whatever. Just get them dimensions. They go, yeah, we got them right here. They keep them on the shelf because they tear up so easy. They're cheaply made. I think they're all made in China or India or whatever. And even brand new, they only last a couple of years before, when you're putting a lot of weight on there, like those bobcats and backhoes and things like that, that puts a lot of stress and strain on wheel bearings and stuff. And we don't exactly have the smoothest roads out there. And every time you hit a few bumps, and things just kind of add up over a period of time. But to keep them safe, I was telling people to change their fluids every couple of years, change their tires, make sure they're no more than 5 years old. And then you came on here and I was saying, well, the most important thing about plumbing is getting ready for the holidays is to do preventive maintenance, not crisis management. I don't know how many times I've had people come over to not my house, but people's house, and a line breaks or water, and they don't know where to shut the water off, or a toilet stops up. That seems to be the biggest thing that I see is, people aren't used to people coming and using the spare toilet, spare bathroom, and all of a sudden they're being used more often, and now it gets stopped up.
Yes, especially if they have small children.
Ooh, yeah, toys get I think toys get tossed down them, I think.
I had somebody drop a watch.
A watch?
Yeah, a men's watch.
Oh boy. I don't know why. I would have stuck my hand down there and got it. I'm not that proud.
You couldn't see it. You couldn't see it. I kid you not. You couldn't see it.
A man's watch. Incredible. But what was one of the biggest things? Normally, y'all have on Mondays, during the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, y'all have at least one interesting case study that someone called you. Did anyone call you this weekend with an interesting study on slow drains or toilets that were stopped up or whatever that was more than interesting?
Well, nothing that really stands out, but I can tell you, because of the holidays, we are getting inundated with kitchen sink stoppages. People are overtaxing, their kitchen sinks. They're putting things down the garbage disposal that wasn't designed to go down the garbage disposal. And like you say, people are coming over to visit, and they're just putting everything down the drain. And if it was going to stop up, it goes ahead and it stops up. If it was a slow drain to begin with. So just like you said, the best thing to do is, if you're having experience in a slow drain or a drippy this, or you haven't looked at that toilet in 6 months and folks are coming over, go ahead and take care of it now, because when you get an extra 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people in the home, that's when you're going to have a problem.
Well, I was talking about the flapper valves on toilets. What is the lifespan of those? I really don't know. I'm going to venture to say they're probably like anything rubber, probably maybe 3 years, 4 years, maybe. I don't know. What would you say the lifespan of them are?
I would say on average 3 to 4 years, up to 5 years.
Up to 5 years.
The only exception to that is with city water, there are certain municipalities that, or certain neighborhoods that maybe the chlorine that got dosed into the system ends up at. I used to live on a neighborhood. It was the end of a street cul-de-sac, and we had just the highest chlorine level because everything ended up there. It got pushed through the system and ended up there. So I was changing out flappers once a year.
See, a lot of people don't realize that chlorine is the number one thing that eats up flapper valves. My mother and my father have a story they tell about. My mother used to put those chlorine tablets in the tank. Yeah, that didn't work very well at all.
That eats everything up.
Yeah, so chlorine
they will last a few weeks, if you're lucky, maybe a few months.
Exactly.
With the chlorine tablets.
Oh, mercy. I can't imagine. I remember my mother putting in the blue tablets. I don't think they did anything other than turn the water blue. I think that's all. I think that's all they did. And every time the water wasn't blue anymore, my mother would say, "Hey, make sure you change the little bottle in the tank back there." Okay, Mom. What does it do? It's supposed to keep it cleaner. It didn't keep it cleaner. It just made the water blue where you couldn't see how dirty it was, I think, all it did. But that's
you should see our plumbers coming back from working on one of those toilets. They look like Smurfs.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What does that blue stuff do? Anything other than make...
It makes a mess. I don't know. And if it does have any trace of chlorine in it, it's wreaking havoc on not just the flapper, but the bolts that go through the tank and the bowl.
Yeah.
They have rubber gaskets that seal to keep it from leaking on the floor, and that's even worse than leaking in the flapper. Leaking on the floor is much worse.
Absolutely much worse. I've had that happen, and a lot of times those bolts do not want to give up the ghost. They don't want to come loose. And I had one time. I got so mad at it, I kind of yanked on it, and when I did, I had to go buy a new toilet.
Sure, yeah.
I broke the porcelain, and my wife finally looked at me and said, "You're not supposed to break it." I said, "Yeah, but it was old anyway. I need to change it." That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that's one of those things that can happen, and that's crisis management. And that comes on. Normally, you don't know those little bolts are going to leak until you get guests come over. They bump the toilet. It hasn't been used in months, and all of a sudden now it's been sedentary for months and months and months. Now you've bumped that toilet bowl around or that holding tank, and now it starts to drip on the floor. Now you've got a wet floor. That wet floor goes to your walls that are now sheetrock, and it starts to wick up to the sheetrock. And the next thing you know, you got yourself a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 repair bill that could have been avoided by putting in a $50 flapper easily.
Sure.
And I don't know what it costs to put one in. I'm just guessing, but still, it's a lot cheaper. Or
taking the time to just go through and just visually check everything and seeing if there's any corrosion. And the water in the back of the tank is absolutely clean. It's just like coming out of the faucet. And you can stick your hand down in there and touch the flapper or touch that gasket on the bolt. And if black comes off on your fingers, then you know that those gaskets are bad.
That's a very good test because I can go do that to mine right now, and every one of them have black on it. I guarantee
Sure,
you.
yeah.
Every one of them, because I know every one of mine need to be changed. I usually try to do it during the week or two that we're off for that week we're off. That's when honeydews get done around the house. I get to do those things around there, and being mechanically have some mechanical aptitude. And when I was in the Navy, one of my jobs was to work in plumbing. That's one of the things I had to do.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, well, they teach you these things in the Navy. You get to be cross-trained from everything working on diesel engines to hydraulics to air conditioning to plumbing. And so I got to do that. So when there's a plumbing crisis at my house that I can handle, such as a flapper valve, no problem. But when it comes to back flushing my tankless water heater, or if it comes to running in new lines, no, I don't do that. I call a professional because, well, I can't afford to make a big mistake. A small mistake which turn into a big mistake. And that's one of the reasons I call, like what I call Mr. Hobbs Plumbing. We had a backflow valve the other day. We have tried for years to keep that thing from leaking. Have we not, Anna Marie? We've tried everything to keep that thing from leaking.
Well, what we found out is they just wear out, and I think it's the chlorine again.
It's the chlorine.
It is.
It's the chlorine that do, and those suckers aren't cheap.
No, and they're required, and it's just a pain in the you-know-what.
But it is. It's required by law. You don't have that, you can be fined. And if you
Sure.
do, and if you do have it, and it doesn't work right, you can be fined. And if it doesn't, it's just going to be a fine whether it works right or not. No matter what happens, you're going to spend money. You've got to keep those things rolling, and they're not cheap. And they can always call you at 763-2001 to see about coming over and having your backflow valve checked out, or their flapper valve checked out on their toilets, or just to get a general once going over their house before the holidays come.
That's absolutely right.
Do y'all actually charge for that, or is that something I do as part of your service? If someone says, I just need to have just someone walk through my house and look at things, can they do
Well,
that?
if we're already there for a service call, repairing something else, that's complimentary.
Good,
We'll do that as part of the service. If they call us out, just independently from that, there is a small charge for that, depending on the size of their home. But it's like you said, it's very minimal compared to having something happen on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve and just ruining your plans.
Well, I tell you what, it's so important. I was thinking about it the other day. I said, I need to have them come over here and probably backflow my water heater. Have we done it in the last year, Anna Marie? I was sitting there thinking about it the other day.
Oh, that water heater's going to get to be replaced, baby.
Why is that?
Because
Why?
it's that old.
It's not that old. It's only 10 years old.
Oh, how long is it supposed to last, Scott?
But it's a on-demand water heater.
Oh, the one at the house they did this year.
Oh, okay. That's the one I was talking about. Which one do you think I was talking about?
The one here at the shop.
Oh, I give them 10 years and throw them away. Don't even wait for them to leak.
Oh,
Just
sure.
Just
If
throw
it's
them
a tank top, let's swap it out.
Let's throw it out. Hey, Tank, we got to go. We're up against the clock. Thank you so much for calling this morning, Scott. We look forward to hearing from you again next week. And they can call you at 763-2001. That's the Gentleman Plumber, Hobbs Plumbing, right there on East Avenue. They've been third-generation plumbers will be around for a long, long, long time. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning, everybody. Bye-bye.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.